Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 10 at Gulfstream Park on Friday is the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes. We're going 11 furlongs on the turf. That's 3 turns around the Gulfstream Park turf course. This race, of course, for fillies and mares. You can play it with a DRF Bets account. Deposit 50, bet with 200 when you sign up at bets.drf.com. Let's meet the fillies and mares getting set to go 11 furlongs in race 10 at Gulfstream on Friday. You see odds on who's probably going to be the number 9, Santa Monica. She's the stick on the morning line, and she's kind of a stick out on paper, isn't she? I mean, she has been the beaten favorite in 3 out of her last 4 starts and 4 out of her last 6, but if you give her the right trip, and that's really the key for Santa Monica, because it's kind of odd that at times you see her close to the pace, at times you also see her very far back. I would think that IRAD in this race is going to want her somewhat close. Yeah, I think, maybe get a little bit forward in this spot would be the best tactic for her. Listen, I've been picking against this horse pretty much right along. She's got here. I'm not a huge fan of hers. It does feel like this is a really good spot for her, though. I do think she ran pretty well last time in the La Provoyante. I mean, they did take her back early. I felt like maybe Jose went a little too early in there, and when he did make his move, the winner of that race just followed her and gunned her down at the end. I think she ran well last time, and if she runs that race, I mean, I guess it just might be good enough against this field. And I didn't really like anybody else in here. And you just see her figures from 1, 3, and 5 races back, 92, 98, 100. She's the class of the field, certainly as a graded stakes winner already. It was nice to see that one of the horses she finished ahead of in the La Prevoyante, Holy Helena, came back to win the very one with a 94 buyer speed figure. And Santa Monica is simply the horse to beat in this spot. I want to take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, because the number 3 Giant Zinger and the number 7 Icky Macho are expected to make the lead. We see the favorite, the number 9, sort of lingering near the back of the pack. I'm not sure if Giant Zinger is going to make the lead from Icky Macho. I think that Icky Macho ran so well last time out by utilizing speed tactics that that's something Roger Attfield's going to try to make this a permanent part of the mare's arsenal. But let's start with Giant Zinger. This is a horse that's run well in her last 2 races. She was coming off of a long layoff last time out, and for a first-time 4-year-old, I thought she ran quite well. She has some upside. I think she can crack the board at a price. Yeah, she does have upside. It is nice to see her trending the right way, too. A New York bred who, listen, she was okay as a 3-year-old last year. She won a couple of really close photos back-to-back last summer. Ran well in those races, but also had really good trips. I do think she's better now than she was then. And of course, based on her pedigree, she's supposed to be able to get this far. Her dam was a really good turf horse in New York going long, so the distance might actually be okay for this horse. A lot of confidence in Bill Mott putting this horse in this spot. Let's take a look at the formulator fact for the Giant Zinger. Past 5 years, older turf routers going second off the layoff in graded stakes at Gulfstream, 33% winners, a 338 ROI, and again, stretching out, should be close to that early pace. Let's get back to Icky Macho a little bit. Again, I think Louis Saez going to try to make the lead in here, because her last race was by far her most effective race in a long, long time. She was able to make the lead. She tried to open up at the quarter pole, and I think there are going to be some folks out there, you included, that said, that's a bad loss. I think Holy Helen is just a little better than she is. I think that's probably true. The problem is Santa Monica might be a little better than she is. That's all true. This horse, and she was first-time Lasix last time. There's nothing to, to overlook, and she did take a big step forward. The question is, I sort of hear what you're saying. Was it a bad loss last time? I do personally think it was a bad loss, especially because not only did she just get right to the front, they walked in there. I mean, there was no pace going on at all. And Holy Helena, as good as she is, I felt like maybe her form wasn't exactly where it used to be. I feel like maybe she's, she doesn't seem like that horse anymore, and she still was able to run this horse down. I don't know, Dan. I felt like if she was going to break through, it was going to be last time at $50, and now she's going to be a much shorter price in here. She's just not for me. All very good points to be sure, as well as the fact that she might suffer from a little bit of seconditis. She has not won a race since 2017. She has not won a race in North America. She has 10 seconds on her record. I want to talk about the stranger in this race, the number 1. That is Maroubra, getting Lasix for the first time. This horse is a stakes winner in France, and that is nothing to sneeze at. Now, overseas, she seemed like a cut below the graded types. That doesn't mean she can't fit in a field like the Orchid. She is getting Lasix for the first time. Distance won't be an issue. Her trainer, Sherry DeVoe, is just starting out, so take this formulator fact with a grain of salt. Former Chad Brown assistant, 0 for 28 to start her career. The wins are going to come for this barn eventually. I wonder what we get off the layoff here. It seems like she's working in very fast fashion. Yeah, the works do look pretty good, and it's probably only a matter of time before this barn does break through. It would be nice for them to do it in a graded stakes race, I suppose. We'll see how this horse classes up.
You know, to me, she is the kind of horse who I think is interested in this race, if only because we've basically seen all these horses plenty of times. To me, there are no superstars in here. If she can come over here and bring her French form over into this spot, I don't see why she can't be effective in a race like this.
Curious as to your assessment for the 5, Homeland Security, who won 2 stakes out of her last 3 races, then went through the auction ring at Keeneland in November, was purchased for $460,000 by the powerful breeding operation of Moyglare Stud and sent to the great trainer Christophe Clement. When this mare was right last year, this distance might actually be a little short for her. She might want 12, 13 furlongs, but I do like the fact that if the pace is really dawdling, she can stay up close.
Yeah, I like that too. That's how she won both of those stakes races you're talking about. She kept close to the pace and just was grinding those fields down in the stretch. I mean, she doesn't have any kind of real burst of speed, but she'll just keep staying and staying. That's why I kind of agree with you. Longer might even be better for her. She gets a trainer change here to Christophe Clement. It's worth pointing out that he's won 6 of his last 10 on turf at Gulfstream. His barn's going really well right now.
And the one loss in the last span of 3 races, that Glens Falls was just a joke of a race. Just draw a line through it. A race where they just allowed Lady Montour to go 6 furlongs in 121-1, and for some reason, Homeland Security was taking a hole down towards the rail and then had to swing wide as turning into the stretch. Draw a line through that race, please. Cha-Cha Heels is a big price, and deservedly so. Heck, she was just beaten for a $30,000 non-winners of 2 life tag. She's 1 for 18 lifetime. A questionable spot. Unless they think distance is what she's been waiting for her whole life.
I mean, that would just be, I guess, a guess on their part, too, because she hasn't shown it. We talked about this trainer in our preview of the Appleton, who's just really improving horses when she takes over their training. She would have to improve this horse quite a bit.
Azula's Arch, I think, can be a little bit more forwardly placed, and I wonder if that's how Javier is going to play the break this time around. It's also quite possible this filly is just better on a synthetic surface. We saw her pull off a big upset at 16-1 in the Grade 3 Maple Leaf, and that was a nice performance considering she stalled very badly at the start and then was sort of hustled into the race. Since then, she's been okay, not great, but I do think she's going to be a lot closer to the pace, if not sitting in the pocket.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I mean, she can get a good trip in this race, and that would go a long way. Her races overall make me feel like these horses, a couple of them anyway, just might be too good for her. She ran fine 2 starts back, but she also got a really good trip in that race.
She's a Prado, goes out for Michael Maker, and we always talk about how Maker is an exceptional trainer, especially on the turf, but this just seems like a big hike in class. Again, that Mary Todd Stakes last time out should have a restricted designation next to it. It was a starter stakes race. This is a big step up in class, but all things considered, she ran well in that race because it had no pace.
Yeah, she ran fine in that race against weaker horses. They've tested her, you know, very sparingly, but there have been, you know, 3 or 4 graded stakes tries in her past, and she just gets buried in those races.
Kallio might be one of the keys to this race, Mike, because I've been a fan of hers ever since she won her maiden at Kentucky Downs. I thought she ran very, very well that day. I thought that 77 Buyer might have been a little bit light as well. And then at Keeneland, she didn't run very bad. They didn't run very well. And it's just some horses don't fire at Keeneland. Last time out, she put it together, and what I liked was really for the first time in her career, they took her back. They let her make 1 run. I think she's very confident there. And again, I'm not worried about the distance. She won that maiden go at 10.5.
I mean, I feel the same way about her. That she obviously has a lot of upside still. You just wonder if she's going to continue to get better. I think that she is. I really liked her win last time. I flirted with the idea of putting her on top in this race because I like her, and I'm not a huge fan of Santa Monica's. Either way, she's a horse I want to use at a price. She has to settle in this race. When she won that race at Kentucky Downs, I just liked the way she just tracked along. Her last 2 races, it felt like she wouldn't switch off that well in those races. That bothers me. She can't get away with that in a race like this, but if she can run her best race, I don't see why she can't get a piece of this. I'm going to use this horse.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes. Santa Monica is the class of the race, and if she runs her usual race, she's probably going to win at a very short price. Like you, I always seem to pick against her, and I'm going to try to do it again. And Icky Macho, I thought you made a very good point. And now, listen, she would have paid $50 last time out. She's 9-2 on the morning line here, and that's no great bargain. But I wonder if they found a running style that works for her. And I think they're going to try to send her to the front here. I don't think anyone's really going to be too excited to go after and put a lot of heat on. I wouldn't be surprised if Icky Macho's turning for home with the lead, and then it's prayer time. I'm going 7-9 in my multiple race wagers. I'll use Santa Monica probably as an A. Ikimasha's more of like a long shot win play.
Yeah.
7-9-3 for me, 9-8-5 for Mike in the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes. It's the 10th at Gulfstream on Friday. We're getting geared up for Florida Derby Saturday, so sign up for a DRF Bets account. When you deposit 50, you bet with 200 at bets.drf.com. And approximate post time for the Grade 3 Orchid, 6:08 Eastern. Good luck.